Howdy, gang. Let's talk about AI. I've had two people in the last week, well, more than that actually, but two people who I had extended conversations with about this. Peter Lanigan, who watches this channel. Hey, Peter. And my cousin, Jeffrey. Jeffrey is no slouch because he was the president of Garridan. He invented Garridan Personal Orchestra, as well as what he thinks is his most successful thing, the Abbey Road Piano Collection, which sounds phenomenal. Anyway, Jeffrey calls me up and he's like, oh my God, what are you thinking about this AI stuff? And he was freaking out. And Jeffrey's awesome. And we had this very cool conversation for about an hour. And he had sent me some links of somebody had made a new Beatles song from a John Lennon song that was on Milk and Honey. It was a demo of him playing piano and singing, and then someone added with AI the rest of the Beatles, and it was the backgrounds and fully, fleshed out. It was pretty amazing, actually, but it was taken down, or else I would link to it below for you to hear it. Thankfully, and we'll get to this, those things get taken down right away. But what do we do about AI? So Jeffrey was like, what do we do about this? And Peter Lanigan sent me an email and said, look, American Songwriter, who I've written reviews for, they asked AI to write a song in the style of Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven. And it was freaking horrible. It rhymed. That's about the best I can say of it. So what do we think about this? Well, look at that lyric. I encourage you, I'll put a link to it below to go see this horrible lyric. It's semi-professional eby. Like I said, it rhymes. It sort of tells a story. It's sort of, I guess, de rigueur and very much by rote, down the middle, sort of, there's nothing original about it. But again, the song's been written already, so what are we doing? Yes, what are we doing? I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on AI and scroll below after this. This is my thoughts. I'm with Billy Corgan and Noel Gallagher. If you've seen any of the interviews they've given recently where they're talking about it, of course, Noel's Noel. He's hilarious and he just dismisses it outright. But he makes a good point, and it's the same point that Billy Corgan makes, and that is it's lacking something. It's lacking the human element. It's lacking originality. It's lacking. Here's what AI lacks: editing, right? If you're an artist, if you're an artist and you've worked hard at your craft and you've honed your craft over many, many years, it's not what you leave in, it's what you leave out. And that's what AI has not captured yet, right? It's just taking an amalgamation, a bunch of stuff that sort of seems like it would belong together. And on the surface, it does, right? But it's lacking the human factor. It's lacking editing capabilities. Now, maybe they'll do this in the future. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it'll get so advanced that it can edit. But it's what you leave out. So as creators, as artists, that's the important thing, is having the taste, having the discernment to know what to use and what not to use, and not to simply make a carbon copy amalgamation of things. So to me, AI doesn't really bother me that much. It really doesn't. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of fun and silly and stupid. I guess we were headed that way eventually anyway. It doesn't threaten me in any way. No one's going to take my career away because of AI. But I'll tell you what will happen, and this goes along with them copyright striking the owners, the Beatles, whoever it may be, Queen, taking down Freddie Mercury, doing whatever. The copyright owners are rightly taking this stuff down. Why? Well, I guess it's an infringement on their art, but more importantly, who's paying for this, right? You make a Beatles song out of something that wasn't meant to be a Beatles song, or I don't know if it'll still be up. I'll try to link it below, but my cousin sent me some Beach Boys stuff. Who's paying for that? There's a song, there's a songwriter, there's an artist, and you're replicating them, so someone has to pay for that. You have to pay royalties, right? There are licenses. That's why this stuff is being taken down. So there seems to me, I'm not threatened by it. I think it's fine for now, but it seems to me that in the long run, the biggest issue is who's paying for it. Now, is it the same thing that's going to happen with Spotify, where they pay you a reduced rate because it's artificial? Well, F that. You want to do this stuff, you pay us what everybody else has to pay us. Right? And I bet you Noel and Billy Corgan and Paul McCartney, and they all feel the same. Now, Paul McCartney came out yesterday and said, AI has allowed a new Beatles song to happen. And I was like, what, that thing that they took down? No. There's another demo that they tried to do at the time of the Beatle anthologies, but George didn't like it, and they really couldn't extract a good enough vocal from the cassette tape that they had of John. But now they can. You can call that AI. I just call it software. It's the same technology that was used for Get Back. It was the same technology that Giles Martin's been using to extract the Beatles multi-tracks and stuff. That's just software. I use it every day. There's a plugin I use all the time called Gullifoss. That's an AI kind of sort of a multi-band EQ compression tool that's helpful when you've got really long tracks, and it keeps everything kind of in order. There's the Smart EQ and Smart Reverb and Smart Comp and Smart Limiter from Sonable. That stuff works really, really well. I don't consider that artificial. I consider that smart software. But anyway, Paul McCartney referred to it as AI. I think that whoever said that about the Get Back stuff kind of did an injustice and a disservice to the whole process. But yes, there is a new Beatles track that's being generated, probably from some of the stuff they did at the session back then with a better vocal from John. I don't know. Can't wait to hear it. Could be cool. That's different. That's very different. And what they did for Get Back is very different. That's not AI. That's smart software. That's high tech. This stuff, I don't know. And by the way, so my personal feeling, besides that I'm not threatened by it and I think it's kind of stupid, it's just that all the stuff that my cousin sent me that I've seen on my own, I saw Paul McCartney doing Werewolves of London. I think that was, someone did AI. I've seen a bunch of them. They're all lacking something. There's always something missing that touches me here. And it has nothing to do with AI. It's just a little too perfunctory and pro forma and by rote. And there's just no, I don't know, there's just, that little extra flavor that makes it human. And that's what moves people. And it's moved people for centuries. So that's how I feel about AI. I'm sure they're going to make it better, and I'm sure it's going to be way more invasive and way more insulting and way more intense, and it could get bad. But for now, let's wait and see what happens. I just don't think it's going to put anybody out of a job anytime soon, though it could. What do you think?